Travis Keys here, coming from the last day of Imaging USA 2025 with Harlow Spotlight. I'm joined here with a fellow New Yorker, Seth. What's going on, my brother?
I don't know, we're both on our last vocal cord, clearly.
I have been coughing. I've used every last bit. This whole interview is going to be, I've got tons of Ricola. It's like I cannot wait to fly back tonight. In fact, I'm like so tapped. Like I looked at, like when I checked in, I'm like, there's a first class. I bumped myself up.
Get out of here.
I had to, man.
It's an easy flight, though. I'll say that.
Yeah, it is. So, how is your experience here at Imaging? Like, how is Imaging like opposed to all the other ones that are out there, the ones that that you go to and kind of?
Yeah, it's hectic, and I like this vibe because they really are. They're not just throwing a show together for the sake of throwing a show together. It's an organization that people are a part of to then help protect our industry. Further our industry. I mean, there's people here that are just trying to learn business so they can actually eat and feed themselves and all this stuff, as opposed to, hey, flashy, gimmicky gear that you can do some weird stuff with, and wow. It's not about that here. I think it's more like, it feels like a guild, I guess.
Yeah.
And then people get to learn more about what it is to take the next step, to go forward. And I don't know if people know this, but like this organization will get you insurance for your gear,
right,
and fight for our copyright in Congress against AI and stuff like that. So it's there's more on the line here, and it touches a different audience because it travels as opposed to always in one city.
Yeah, I kind of like that. So let's kind of go back. I want to ask you, because I mean, when was it kind of realized that you really dive right into your
You're
history?
so tired. You're so tired. This is not the Travis I know. All right, go for it. Go.
Third day, you're like, I just want to get in my bed.
Oh my God, man! I'm so
curious,
full of coffee.
When was the point in your life where you realized, you know what, I'm a creative?
I don't think you ever. You either think creatively or you don't. I think you get to a point in your life where you realize you think differently, or like everything's always special. Okay, Lindsay Adler's walking by. Looks wearing blue for the first time ever. What is this? She looks like the teacher from the Magic School Bus. She's got this Miss Frizzle thing.
Do I look like Miss Frizzle?
You look like Miss Frizzle.
I mean,
you need the weird dresses and stuff.
Why don't we do all three of us at once? This is gonna be fun.
Right now? I'm just tackling you.
Come on in here.
Okay.
Do what, you want to go in the middle?
Yeah.
But this is what happens at trade shows.
I'll speak closely into your chest.
We'll do this.
I'll speak closely into your chest.
I like this idea.
Just like
this.
prom night.
It's cozy, it's fun. Actually, you know what? This is what I like, because I have two people here I actually adore and that really love the photo community. And both of you, in your own way, have touched people's lives in a way that, like you, I've seen like people that literally will cry and come up to you and say, hey, you know what? You changed my life.
It's very sweet. I just never know how to handle it. It's funny because yesterday I was explaining to someone where I want to be there in the moment, but I don't know what their moment is. Like, are they happy? Are they sad? Are they whatever? But usually it's just kind of like me. This is TMI. When I'm really happy, I might cry. If I'm frustrated, I might cry. If I'm angry, I might cry. So I think it's just the emotions. But I'm such a logical person that I'm like, oh.
I mean, you're a New York Jew. We cut to the chase.
Yeah.
We cut to
This is why we're friends.
Yeah.
And what is for you? I mean, you are so passionate about the community and really kind of giving back to the community. And you can tell that, yes, we love what we do and we get out there and we want to give workshops, we want to give education, but you actually want to kind of help shape the community and make it better and fight for it.
I really believe that we don't have an industry without community. And more than anything, I also think of like in Gladiator, like win the crowd. Forget about the fight, win the crowd. If you always have the people that it's made out of, you're always going forward. Look, brands will come and go. The people are the ones that'll always keep making this what it is, and that's what's ever changing, and that's what sets the tone for what's trending, which direction we're going to, what technology we adopt, what the status quo is as far as what's affordable, what's ridiculous, what are we going forward with. I mean, look what's happening right now. Medium form became more affordable than ever. Now that's a new conversation because of people making these decisions. And I just don't want people to come in and go, I'm going to buy all this stuff, and then they quit. And it's like, no. Let's get you a place where you're making better decisions so I see you in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years. Because it's not about what you've got to put into it monetarily or like with physical. It's about what you can pull back out. That's why the pizza box thing is like, as much as a joke, it's also like, what's happening here and what else can we do? Right. And if you can do that with this, what's next? I hate when people stop for any other reason than they just don't want to do it personally.
I want to throw this question to both of you because I think is like what I like is that we're so ingrained in this and so passionate about it. What are the conversations and what are the changes in 2025 that aren't being had that you think should be had, and the changes you want to see happen in 2025 or help the community or that the conversations that you know that people are scared to bring up and talk about?
No, I'm sick of people walking around a trade show like this and thinking that the images they see are the ones they have to take. Stop taking the images you think you're supposed to take and go after the ones you want to take and really stick to your point of view and style, because I think you're so timid. You're like, I have to emulate. Just emulate. Like, no. We don't need an airbrushed 4-year-old child because their skin is so terrible. Come on, you know what I'm talking about.
Of course I do.
So
it's also been like that for like 15 years.
And that's what I'm saying. Let's change this. That's why I want to get on stage. I know I sound like I'm yelling at people, and which I am because none of you listen.
It's that part.
It's like, look, sometimes I think but if I don't say it the way I say it, they don't remember, they don't feel it. And if we don't have the energy, they don't have the energy. You know, like, it starts with us. It trickles down from us, I feel.
I will get to that, but I was going to say, one of the things I like about when you teach and when you present is how strong and forceful you are. But it doesn't
I don't know what that means.
No, it doesn't feel like you're angry. You're like, no, come on, I'm bringing you along with me. It's kind of like I'm grabbing you and pulling you along.
Because they never think they can, or they always think that they're not thinking the right way. And it's like, no, you're right on it. Now get up, pull the trigger. They're all timid, and when you talk to these people here, like, you're almost like, what brought you here? It's like they had to pull a trigger to get to this point of like finding a community, coming. Because I think unless we grew up in the industry, but like people that are isolated, shooting at home.
That's what I was gonna say.
You never get to the go for that. You do.
No, I would say there's so many people that even started photography during COVID.
Yeah.
Right, because they're like, I want to learn now, but because they were so isolated, they picture it as a individual thing and a one-man show and all of that. And then we're at an event right now where there is community, but I also understand that things like this are an investment.
Yeah.
Like, you're paying for the travel and the hotel and the whatnot. I think that as much as people can go back to even the way, let's say, better versions of meetups, where people have real community and they can bounce ideas off of each other and do challenges and hold each other accountable. And I thankfully have done that, not with other photographers, but with like hair, makeup, wardrobe. We're each other's community. And so we keep coming back because we want to spend time with each other and then we don't feel lonely. Like, I want that for people.
But there's also like weird isolation that I'm sure some of you get into, where the only conversations you're having are with somebody's opinion on YouTube. And you're not actually in front of somebody going like, oh, well, I heard this popular guy say this. No, I didn't find that to be true. Here, let me show you, or whatever. And that's the reality of it, when it's really in your hands, really in your face.
Yeah.
And I think it's also important to be around people that are on your wavelength. You're thinking similar. You'll find people that are like a billion years old and like 18-year-olds here, but you're all on the same point of like, oh, I didn't think of it like that. But we're all trying to get to a goal of create this or do something for a living that you actually care about. And you'll hear from different walks of life, but also different areas and what they deal with, and you can apply it. Everything you do is like your personality. You pick apart put together what you are. Same thing with your creative, because what you put out there is you. You just aren't there to talk about it every time someone encounters it.
Which is what the emulation thing you were saying goes back to, is and I think this is where some people first getting started in the photography world, they don't really know maybe who they are as a photographer artist. So it is actually easier to lean on okay, I'm going to do what this person says because they gave me this solution. But I think probably one of my greatest goals for people, for me, is to be like, no, find your lane and what you do well and lean into it, because it's I think a lot of times that's where the more fulfilling, for me, photography comes from. I think it's where the longevity comes from. Yep. I don't think you get burned out as quickly when you know what it is that's your specialty, your passion. And then depending on how you do it, it can also be where the money comes from, because you are the expert in that thing. So
let's dive into that just a little bit, finding your passion and your authentic voice, and ultimately we are storytellers. So where does that come from? Like, I know, like, I geek out on cinema and I love movies, and everything for me was, before I even knew what, photography was or a photographer, I knew about cinematographers and layering light, and I fell in love with cinema. So that was my passion, what drew me. What kind of makes you, you, in terms of the way you see light, and what, I know you love Halloween and haunted houses. What is it about for you that really kind of drives you, the way you see light and makes the way I am Lindsay Adler, and no one else sees light the way I do, because I've experienced life only the way I do, and makes you so unique?
I like the feeling of play, and whatever that means. playing dress up, whether it's models or creating like exotic makeup designs. And it's a sense of play in the lighting, a sense of play in the experimentation, a sense of play of working with other people, because, you know, and my mother worked for IBM, okay? And I saw how she did not like her career and it did not fulfill her, and there was no play.
Yeah.
And so she always encouraged me to pick a job that, you know, was play, and said, if you are passionate about it, you'll make it work. And so I did. So yeah, I take my job extremely seriously. I work my ass off, but there's also play throughout everything I do.
And for you, like, you love playing with lights, you love technology, you love playing and experimenting. Where did that come from, and how do you tell people, you know what, light is not just something that is a Rembrandt, or it's not just scientific. It's, for me, I was talking with Lindsay yesterday, I'm saying, for me now, it's like, I've gotten and matured and my storytelling is different. It's like, for me, light is like Chopin, it's Run DMC, it's like, I want to feel it, I want it to, it's a mood, it's some of that. How do you kind of define light, and how does it play into your work? Do you overthink light, or underthink light,
No, I think, well, first of all, it's not like I love to play. This sounds horrible, and I don't want to crush anyone's dream. It's not like I love to play with lights. It's like I get to play with lights.
Yeah.
I could be rocking some uniform for something I don't care about, sitting in a chair I don't want to sit in, looking at a screen I don't want to look at, doing something that has nothing to do with me. But every time I shoot, I'm putting a stamp of myself out there. Even if it's for like, I got to shoot for makeup artists to make what they want come through. And I watch how these kids sweat and sculpt these prosthetics for like weeks, and like it'll get thrown out in a few seconds, and I'm the final line of immortality for that thing. And street cred is everything for me. So whoever's coming to me for a shot, I'm building their credibility through whatever I'm producing. And my career came from people disrespecting special effects and all this stuff because they're like, oh, it's Party City, just light it with like some shadows, we're done. Like, no, homie, like, let's make this really refined and show there's another level. It's almost like how graffiti became like high-end art now. That's which is what I came from that anyway. So it's like, and now tattoos are like millions of dollars to get your arm done, right? But it came from somewhere, and the same thing with the genre I'm in. But I try to look at my light as the narrative, because even if someone doesn't understand light like we do, they live a life ingesting light through their eyes and in their skull, right?
Yeah.
So they'll realize why this feels a certain way, but they don't know. No, they'll realize something feels a certain way, but they don't know why. Well, that light is at this angle because the sun sets at that angle, and it feels warmer to you because you remember when you see that, you feel that. Or, oh, I know what it feels like to be in a movie theater, so I'm banging a light to look like a projector, and then there's like a lens flare a little bit because I remember my glasses are smudged when it's dark out. My iris is wider because it's lower light, so it's softer focus. And I'm getting a bloom because you get a little more mucus on your eye in those situations. And those little tiny details that you stack up, which is what my class is about at 3:30 today. When you stack those up and a civilian, I call him civilian, gets what we get and doesn't know why, they don't got to know why. It's our job to get them to that feel and that point of remembering, because you don't want to have someone just viewing your image. You want them to feel, when do I want to see the next one? Because you're building an audience, not someone that saw your shot.
Yeah.
Your presentation today is on cinematic.
I put a bunch
techniques.
of clicky terms in there, like
It
cinematic,
is
narrative,
that, right?
atmospheric, whatever.
But what I was going to say is that I actually think that's a really good point about getting trained by what we're ingesting. So I am not a cinephile, movie buff, or anything like that, but I actually realized the more that I've learned about light and about visual language, oh, movies have trained us to take this stuff in and feel a certain way.
Yeah.
So I'm trying later on in my photo career to be like, all of these things that I kind of took for granted and I just ingested and didn't realize where they came from, let me go back and take a closer look. And then maybe I can be more purposeful in how I use it in my own work.
Well,
which
especially
I've
with
been
you,
doing.
because a lot of cinema is color grading, right?
Yes,
Yes.
And
exactly.
I think there's a whole thing, like, and I don't want to talk trash about other speakers, but like they put like cinematic in their title, and it's like all they're talking about is grandeur. They're not talking about actual cinematic where you're creating a narrative. A lot of times they go, oh, cinematic weddings, just like a longer dress and some crazy panorama with some seagulls flying and like a giant wave. And it's
I would
like,
say impactful.
yeah,
Or like,
fantasy.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
But cinematic is more like, look at Dahmer on Netflix. Like, oh, this room is yellow
Yes,
and warm for this
exactly,
reason.
exactly.
The exit signs are this color, because they're basically making your brain aware and flag on things that you don't realize, but you're feeling that anxiety, you're feeling that stress. And I got a lot of from video games, honestly. And now I'm like, but now I'm like, every time I see a video game that has a bad color lighting engine, I'm like, oh, light doesn't bounce like that. What are you doing? No, why am I looking at this? No. I'm not pointing fingers at Final Fantasy or anything. Anyway.
There's one question I want to ask you guys, and it's kind of a dual-layered question here. And what you guys do and what we do takes extreme amount of work, and you get people that come up to you, it's like, oh, how can I become a brand ambassador? How can, and they think,
Oh, I hate that.
they
Do you
think
hate
you
that?
can skip to
I've
it.
done it forever, yeah.
But the real question is here is you guys have sacrificed so much, and I don't think people understand that, is how much you have to sacrifice and what that means to work all the time and work your butt off to get here. So can you give advice to like the true passion of it and what it takes to actually hit certain levels?
My first one is, what are you in it for? Like, why are you doing it? And if it's because I want a brand ambassador to foot my bill, then that's not the right answer.
Right.
It has to be, what is driving you? What are you trying to offer or bring to the world? And then how does that brand align with your motivations? And it has always been like that. So most of the time when people say, well, I want to be sponsored by XYZ, I say, okay, so what is your specialty and what are you bringing to photographers? How do they fit into that equation? When you have that answer and you don't need a huge audience, but a decent enough audience, then that is your formula.
Yeah, but I think it always, no matter what, because it always starts with you, build yourself up to be something worth paying attention to, because you got to earn that attention, right? They're paying it to you, you got to earn it. Now, if you're going to tell me you want to get a brand involved, it's not about chasing the brand from day one and then you become like, well, I'm a speaker on this. No. What have you shot? What impact has it made? Who's following you and why? Not, can I show off a product to then get it sold? No, you're doing something that's important. What did you use? What were the tools? That's what makes you an ambassador of a brand. And yes, ambassadors are a marketing tool, but like there's a credibility to it. And I think the people, especially at shows like this, you see a lot of like newer speakers that are like, I'm going after blah. And it's like, oh, I'm like, chill. Just first of all, have good classes. How about that? How about get people like trust you, build the trust, don't violate the trust by selling them something because you got the trust. Build the trust on what you're able to do, then find the tools that align with your philosophy, and then move forward building, what's that word? Oh, a relationship. Because people just think it's like a payday or they're chasing clout. Or a lot of people like, I have a YouTube channel, but if the brands like me, I'll have a bigger YouTube channel. Shut up. Stop. Like, fucking shoot, man. Sorry. I'm like.
So that brings to the second part. Is you get to a certain point, you've actually made a bunch of sacrifices. And it's like, maybe like, I've given up every weekend for the last 3 years because I'm traveling or working, I have to put out content. There's certain points where A, your battery drains, and B, the second is like, how do I keep coming up with stuff? So when you hit that point where the kind of well runs dry and you feel unmotivated, how do you find re-inspiration and recharge yourself and kind of get back out there to work again?
Man, I think it's the whole, the more you build your muscles, the stronger they get. And so I can say I spent probably solidly from age 23 to probably 33 without a break whatsoever. And then I still do the same thing now, but I grant myself, now I can afford to take vacations and breaks, so it's a little bit better.
But she has no friends.
No friends.
It's all right here.
Although Brooke flew out to do stuff with me, so that counts as a friend.
I just thought
That
when
does
we did
count.
that,
That does count.
when we did that podcast, she's like, I have no friends. I was like, well, but that's the reality is like.
No, it makes you sacrifice, like you're saying. Like I don't go and just like, we don't just go chill.
I don't sit idle well. I don't
don't
understand, like, people like, you should take a vacation and do what? Sit still somewhere else? Like, I don't understand this concept. I'm only here for so long, and what I'm leaving this world with when I'm gone, I'm not going to think about how much sleep I got, where I got to hang out on a beach. I know I look like a beach person and everything, but it's like, it's kind of like, what are you really going after? It's more competitive than ever. We're moving at a pace that's faster than ever. And if you've got an idea, stop waiting about, get moving on it. Think about what the elements are, because by the time you do get to do it, you'll refine it instead of having done it at a lower level and having been like, I'm over it. No, get started now. Think about it. Start sketching. Start listing out what you need. And keep going and going and going. I have sketchbooks. I don't know about you, but I got sketchbooks from when like in high school till now of like stuff like, oh, that was a good idea. I should get back on that. So I think, one, be around people that make you want to shoot, make you want to create. Two, be around things that aren't photography that make you think differently. So like, video games and movies and books really get me like, or like comic books get me like kind of going. And then think about, well, how is that for me? Where do I translate it? How do I translate it? And then you work on the skill will always come, right? You'll always be able to build a technique.
I think the lesson I usually give people is, and because I just said you're very self-aware. I actually think being self-aware is really important.
Yeah.
So what are your strengths? What are you good at? And then focus on that. And then you can hire people or work with people that fill in your weaknesses. So that's absolutely something that I have done. And I also, not everybody can work as hard as you or
No,
maybe
please.
me. It's true. Like a lot of people don't have that. But I think actually scheduling and having some accountability for yourself. So on my calendar, I put marketing days and treat it like okay, this is what this day is for.
Yeah.
But I also will schedule fun times. So like I'm going to the ballet on Saturday, but that's a reward for all the work that I've done leading up to this. And I think sometimes forcing structure on yourself is probably the only way, because a lot of us are artists that will just kind of float around, and so it's goals and structures and then a reward system for yourself, whatever that looks like. So
I mean, we're also fortunate to have spaces that we've built to go walk into and just like grab the tools and keep on working out, right? Throw something against the wall and see what happens. You know, like I'm always in the Adler event space that I built, and I'm like, what else could I rip apart here and redo something different? Or what kind of demo could I put together? Or you're in your own studio and you're like, this would be cool. Then you think about the person that would work for this, and then you start building that. And then you just keep, before you know, you've already shot like more than you thought you would ever shoot, because you already came up with an idea you wanted. You cast it correct, which is big.
Mm-hmm.
You do a lot of good casting for what you're doing, but you're doing like a fashion feel rather than like a actual illiterate character.
yeah, but I actually do approach it often like a character, but not in the full caricature way
Yeah.
that you might think. But it's a woman that would wear this dress. How would she hold herself? What would her hair look like? What would her makeup be? What would her body language be?
What's the story?
Yeah, and so it's not a story in the narrative way when people hear story, but instead it's basically like visual concept that immediately you're reading something into this.
Yeah, it's true.
So a couple of wrap-up questions here for us. As we grow and we kind of mature, as not only in our own lives and the way we see the world, but also in our craft, if you had a chance really to kind of go that cliche question, go back and kind of give yourself one advice as a younger photographer, what would that be to yourself?
Yeah, I have a couple of different pieces. I think the first one would be that if you find your own individual voice and lean into that, that is the strongest path forward. So when I first started, I shot everything, and I get it. I actually think that that's good to figure out what it is you actually like and to test different things out. But when you find what it is that speaks to you, if you can lean into that, that's what we become known for. I don't know. I find that the most fulfilling. But probably the other piece related to that is you can't please everyone. And if you try to please everyone, then you won't please yourself. And then also, if you try to please everyone, I guarantee you no one will be thrilled.
Right.
Exactly.
So then you'll just be in this spiral of never feeling like enough because you tried too hard to make other people happy. And I think that's also an age thing too, is I'm significantly less, you might not believe this, but I'm less of a people pleaser now.
I think there's a certain point when we're younger, we all put on these masks where we think we want to please other people and be someone we're not. And then you get to a point where it's like, I don't care if this person doesn't like me. It's like, I want to be around people that
In
move
fact,
me.
I'm glad some people don't
Yes,
like me if
yeah.
they suck.
And how about for you?
You know who I'm talking
Oh, there's drama in every industry. Don't worry
about.
about
Of
it.
course there is.
I mean, I wake up to horrible comments every day about everything about myself. But yeah, I'm not doing this for those people.
What would you tell your younger self?
Oh, my younger self?
Yeah.
I probably, honestly, I was so, and I still am, and I guess you can tell, like, I'm a stubborn guy, but like, the younger self, like, stop fighting assimilation. I fought digital till I had to go digital.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, I was shooting slide film commercially till I physically couldn't get a job until I shot digital. And then I fought social media as hard as I could because I just found it to be such a time waste and I didn't care about everything that was going on there. And I just say, like, don't just count everything out off the bat, but make educated decisions about it. And if it is for you, like, I'm not going to be doing some TikTok dances or some shit, but really, really break down and look at it through your own mental eye and go, like, don't take it at face value, but don't like fight everything. When you fight everything, you're fighting the world, and you're always just one guy or one person. And in the end,
pep talk for himself.
Right.
well, no, I mean, you're going to burn a lot of time and a lot of energy that you could have been spending growing. And one of the things that I learned from guys like Daniel Norton and Joe McNally was like, don't hold it to the chest. You can't shoot everything. So all the guys that let me assist them for so many years to teach me what I had to learn because I carried those bags for so many years, that's not happening anymore. So when I got those young kids in the event space that are about to go to college or trying to figure out they're like, all right, this is my shot. This is where I can set the tone straight, because that's the generation that's going to carry on after us, and I have to make sure there's an industry here for them, because those guys before me did it for us.
One of the last questions is we all get that one piece of information or a nugget from someone that sort of comes a part of our own personal code or mantra, like your father passed on a piece of advice or a mentor
Always
gave you a
wear
piece of
comfortable shoes. Always.
Do you have one that's like always ingrained in you that you...
Yeah. Actually, it was funny because as we were talking, the person walked by who gave me that. So, do you know John Harrington?
Yeah.
So John Harrington, I interned for him when I was in college. It was my sophomore year internship. And one of the biggest pieces of advice he gave me is if you raise your prices, it's not that you will lose clients, you'll gain different clientele.
Yes.
And so that's been really big for me in, commercial and beauty photography, is if I were charging $900, I'm getting a different audience than if I'm charging $5,000, and
Right.
I'm still getting clients.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And for you?
I learned it from Joe, like when you think you're done, keep going. So like it's very easy to get tired and lethargic and like think like, all right, that's good enough. Is it? Or is another 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes going to kill you? Or is just thinking something a little differently, even though you got it, great, you got it. Move forward and try, just go one more step. And then you realize that extra step turned into a whole different snowball.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to be like, it's good enough.
That's awesome.
Don't get complacent.
Yeah.
And it's easy to say that, I know that. Keep going, don't stop. And as Daniel Norton would say, keep shooting till it sucks. Keep shooting till
I like it.
Yeah.
Brings us to our last question today. What was the last thing either you saw like, damn, I wish I took that, or that inspired you in a way, or took your breath away, that was something that was just a moment that...
Everything by the photographer Elizaveta Porradina.
Like something somebody else shot?
No, it could be anything. It could be, man, I saw a sunset, or I saw a documentary, or I saw something just recently that really just kind of like